Now, Mark Carney's fall budget certainly hints at austerity with spending restraint paired with selective investment. So what does that mean for everyday Canadians? How should you manage your money when the government is cutting back? Joining us in studio right now with his take is Mark Ting. He's our guide to personal finance and a partner with Foundation Wealth. Mark, hello there.
Hi.
Did you watch Mark Carney's speech or listen to it yesterday?
No.
Okay.
I rarely watch these types of politicians speaking either side of the border. So what I generally do is I'll listen to analysts after the fact. So rather than hear it live, I'll get the rundown, the highlights. And then my job, because I'm a portfolio manager, is to see how these policies might affect the stock market and the economy to a lesser degree. So historically, most of the time, it doesn't move anything. People don't really believe in what's being told. Like, they understand this is something that may happen, may not happen. There's hints of austerity. And that could be concerning for the stock market. But if you looked at it today, they shrugged it off. It was not a factor at all.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, just to bring you up to date, there was nothing new announced. But
well, there's no details. That's the thing.
No details.
They might talk austerity, and often they make it sound a lot dire. And then when the details come, it's not as bad. So, it's sort of that selling aspect of it.
All right. But when budgeting, all the same, who makes the decisions on what programs to cut and where revenues can be generated, via the higher taxes?
It's really complicated. I did look into this. So there's obviously the politicians are involved. They got their heads, they got their departments. There's the Treasury Board that is supposed to be out there that is looking at the cost benefits. But it's pretty dire, like in terms of actually getting the data on whether programs work or they're worth what they should be spent on. You also have the Auditor General, and I think that's the best place. But when you look at that division where they actually audit programs, money went in, what are the results, that the Auditor General seems to be one of the places where they get cut. So they're not all that powerful. So that's why a lot of people complain, if you listen to the Taxpayer Federation, that so much money gets wasted because there's no cost benefit. Well,
he did say we've got to change the way we approach things because we can't rely on the U.S. like we have relied on the U.S. That's not news to anyone, but I think he was underscoring that fact. And there has been a lot of talk about Canada's need to double non-U.S. exports over the next decade. How realistic is that?
It's aspirational for sure. But again, it goes back to trade-offs. If there's actually a real willingness to not do as much business with the U.S. or maybe doing more business elsewhere, then what are the trade-offs? The trade-offs will be, are you okay with pipelines going east and west? Because that's how we do products. Are you okay with more tankers? All those sorts of things are traditionally what has stopped us relying on other places and focusing on the U.S. And historically, it's been problematic. Like, there's been big companies that have tried these things and it just didn't work out for various reasons. So if the leadership's there and the willingness there and the attitude from the voters are willing for things like pipelines and more mines and more extraction, that's the trade-off. There might be some environmental issues, there's work issues, but otherwise, we are pretty much stuck with the U.S. because that right now, our routes are going south.
Okay, so let's imagine you were Canada's financial advisor. Your task is to help Mark Carney. He's got some tough decisions ahead. What would be some of your suggestions?
What I know for a lot of people who have been successful in turning around companies, one thing that they've done is 0-day budgets. That means there's all these programs, all these heads, and they say, okay, today, what do you need? And explain it and justify it. So don't tell me what you did last year and whether you met your goals or how much it is. I don't care about that. Clean slate, how much do we have now? And also, what is going to happen if you do not meet those goals? So everyone hates those, like where, you see a whole bunch of money goes in, they didn't even come close to meeting their goals, and then everyone gets bonuses. That's where taxpayers get really, really angry. Mm-hmm. So having that zero budget and justifying, it basically shows that there's only a limited amount of pool of money, and we're going to see where, almost like triage, where is most needed. And if you're not doing what you're saying, then you're going to be cut.
I see. Okay. Well, let's bring it down to everyone that's listening right now. How concerned should we be? Again, when we actually get the details, what kinds of preparations should we be making?
Well, I think this is a warning. Like the fact that he said austerity is a pretty big move. We haven't heard that word in Canada for decades. And we've seen how that's worked out in Europe and various other places. There's protests because people do not like losing jobs because government, often there are cuts, and government in Canada has grown quite a bit, and as well as programs. So the first group that I'd be looking at is if you're on government assistance or you're getting various programs, or maybe your project is funded by grants or you work for the government, then this is something that should pique your interest, and you should be preparing for this. This is sort of what the private sector does all the time. Like we're always ready for some changes because it can happen quite quickly. So I would do the same thing. If you think you're vulnerable because of those areas, you should be planning for plan B. So like the emergency fund, maybe cutting down on costs right now, looking at some other options. If you're a couple, hopefully one's in public, one's in private. But at the end of the day, if you're a valuable resource and you're good at your job, often you will keep your job.
Okay, there's that. But what about for people who do have some savings? Where do they keep those savings? Do they park them in the bank? Do they put them to work? Do they buy gold? But from, going back to past conversations, gold or silver or platinum or whatever it may be.
All the above. I mean, that's generally what I feel. Like I feel that there is this debasement that's happening with the currencies and the value of our dollar. So if you do have assets, you should have enough for your emergency fund. That means like that chunk of money, if you do lose your job, that's easily liquid. But if you think you're good and you have that emergency fund, you should be investing it longer term. Gold's fine, Bitcoin's fine, real assets fine, stock market's fine. It all depends on your risk tolerance and your expectations. But keeping too much money in cash, in GICs, to me, that doesn't make sense. You're going to lose buying power.
I see. There are a lot of young Canadians that are really struggling with these issues of affordability, even finding work. What advice would you give them?
They should be extremely happy if austerity happens. Because essentially what happens there is, who's going to pay for this? Like Canada does not have a whole bunch of money. We're deficit spending. And typically all these programs, if they find efficiencies, like they can do more with less, that's good, right? If a lot of the programs often do go to the baby boomers, they cost a lot of money, but they're not around when the bill comes. So it's usually the young people who are going to have to pay for what's happening today. So if I was a young person, I'd be thinking, okay, I want a fiscally responsible government, and it hasn't been that way for a while. Things have ballooned. Now, in terms of jobs and things like that, this is what I tell younger people. I was like, go to the office, go to the workplace, do face-to-face encounters. If you have the choice between hybrid and going to the office or working from home all the time, if you have people senior that are going to the office, you want to be there. You want to have that face time. You want to learn from them. You want to make those connections.
You want to be visible, so you're not just a number on a sheet of paper. Is that it?
You don't realize how important it is, because not only maybe they have to get rid of you, like it just happens. Maybe you get cut. But if you're there all the time, your manager or whoever is going to feel bad about it, and they're going to help or try, if you're a good worker and everything, to try to find you another position, be a really good resource. Whereas if they don't know you personally, then you're just another number, you're a statistic, and you just go away. So I think, just like we've talked about it before, figure out the AI, learn about that. The contexts are extremely important. Be accessible. Like I had my neighbor, she just got a job. It's a really good job. And she's complaining that she's on call 24/7. And like, so what? That's the nature of the job. You're paying good money. Are you working 24/7 or are you on call? She goes, yeah, but it ruins my weekends because I have to check emails once in a while. I was like, you're 23. Just pay your dues, get your probation. Like, you're going to get those privileges later, but please do not quit your job. Like, keep it, unless you can find another job out there, but keep it. This is the environment we're in. These jobs are likely, if there's austerity, there's going to be more people looking for work. So if you have a job, put your effort in and keep it and be on good terms and network. Networking is very important, particularly with AI coming around.
Some good pieces of advice there, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Mark Ting. He's our guide to personal finance and a partner of Foundation Wealth. He joins us every week at this time. Maybe there's a question you have for Mark or something we can discuss here on air. Feel free to contact him. Mark Ting, CBC @gmail.com. Mark Ting, CBC @gmail.com.